So where do we go from here?
Well, I think the first place is young kids need to have an opportunity to come in contact with lots of things. They need to be not so programmed. We need to start by asking a child, "Who are you?" And we have to find a way to help that child be able to tell us who they are, and not us tell them by saying you need to be involved in this activity and this activity and that activity because all your friends are too. And we have to help them understand that just because their friends are involved in those activities doesn't mean they have to be involved in those activities too. And to find common grounds of things that they can do together, and then everybody goes off to their activities. So it really starts with parenting by asking the question, "Who are you?" to every one of our children, because they can't ask the question, "Who am I?" Someday, as they get older, they'll be able to own that question and ask it for themselves. But until then, and that starts with taking them to places so that they can discover that, like the library, like the construction site, like the beach, like the forest. And helping them gather a library in their head of access to a lot of different things.
Okay. You have developed over the last 20 years or so this idea and this program for how you go about creating an environment that allows this creative, unstructured play to be promoted, right, and helping children evolve through this decades-long process that they need to go through. And it's a system that one part of it, one point of this system is how you interact with the library in our modern society. And one of the things that we hear today is that, well, libraries are no longer relevant because, well, you can just search on Google.
Right.
And I'm aware you have some very strong feelings on the fact that libraries have a very specific purpose. They are not in competition with Google. They are complementary to Google. You've spoken about this play experience that children have as if they're flying on a magic carpet and swooping through this, swooping through space, sort of through those first 20 years of their lives, and they're gathering information. And so we decided to call that the Creative Play Magic Carpet. And that carpet has 4 main points.
Right.
Would you cover those 4 points that you feel are so vital to this program that you have?
Right. So each corner is a point, and that's what kind of made it this carpet, and then as it free flows, because the child's brain doesn't think linearly, it free flows, and so the carpet then is allowed to swoop and play. And 2 of those points are similar, but they're not alike. One of those is the library, the place you can go to serendipitously, accidentally stumble over something you didn't know enough to even ask a question about, and draw it in because it hit you either in the head or the heart or the soul, and the child's like, "Oh, that's so cool." And then the other corner is about going places and doing things. Again, gaining and gathering information they can put on this carpet, to the beach, to the woods, stopping at the construction site, driving down the street and seeing how things grow and guessing, is that corn or is that cabbage, and stopping at the roadside stand or whatever. And bringing that onto their carpet as it gently glides along or swoops or whatever. The next 3rd corner is probably one of the most critical corners, because as you gather this information, the only way the child is going to understand this information or understand how it relates to them as an individual is they got to play, they got to engage. And that's this beautiful corner called unstructured, unhurried, free play, because it does allow them then to take all this information and get to know who they are, how they learn, and all those important things. In the 4th corner is as important, but it's as you get done with all this undulating and swooping and whatever, and you take a break, the child needs to remember. And the only way when they're really little they can really remember is to have pictures and to have somebody write the wonderful things they say, work is play and all these things. It allows them to remember and allows them to share with the adults in their life, who they are in that time and moment in their life. And that is just as critically important to defining self as an individual. So the 4 corners: going to the library, going on outing, engaging in it, and becoming immersed in experimenting with it, and then remembering it.
Right, so you have this creative play, which we've discussed is
Right.
so important, such an important developmental activity for our children. But in order to play creatively, a child they need information.
Right,
And one of the places to gather it is through the library.
right,
Another place is through field trips.
right.
And then that fourth corner, which is one of those areas which I think is not intuitively obvious to the casual observer, which is the importance of a child remembering what they did. Because as you pointed out, children don't have very good memories. I certainly forget things that I've done. But having a way to remind a child of those wonderful experiences that they had, and then they can re-experience or think about it again, and then figure out how to use that in their play again, so it recycles it back into their play. I think that's one of those critical missing areas in our child's development. Right, so at any rate, the successive videos behind this one, we are going to delve in specifically into the library side of things.
Yeah, into that corner
Into
where we
that
talk
part of
about
this.
that information,
That
library
information gathering.
and books, and how to glean the information, and what to do with it, and why a library today is like town in 1914, and why that is important.